Bring in show music, please.
Hi, I'm CNBC producer Katie Kramer. Today on Squawk Pod, OpenAI CEO Sam Altman, the day after Chat GPT-5 hit the public.
Healthcare is maybe the area where there's the strongest improvement of any category.
A key founder in artificial intelligence on the impact his digital project has on humanity.
I do worry about this general case of people that just make their decisions based off of what the advice ChatGPT gives them. Like, it does feel to me like something gets lost in that process, even if the advice is always really good.
Why he's luring Silicon Valley's hottest talent.
The hope is they know how to discover the remaining ideas to get to super intelligence. That there are going to be a handful of algorithmic ideas and a medium-sized handful of people who can figure them out.
And how he's thinking about returns for investors. Spoiler, he's focused on innovation.
As long as we're on this very steep curve of the models getting better and better, I think the rational thing to do is to just be willing to run at a loss for quite a while and continue to do that, which is also part of why I think it's nice not to be public.
Plus, the other stories that got us squawking, including President Trump's calls for Intel CEO to resign.
This is clearly industrial policy, which nobody likes, brought on by the original industrial policy. Intel got in bed with the federal government.
It's Friday, August 8th, 2025. Squawk Pod begins right now.
Stand Andrew by in 3, 2, 1. Up and Andrew. Cue.
Good morning and welcome to Squawk Box right here on CNBC. We're live at the NASDAQ market site in Times Square. I'm Andrew Sorkin. By the skin of my teeth, I'm Andrew Sorkin. Well, Becky's off. Joe is here.
I was here.
It's nice to see you. You were ready to cook?
Good to see you.
Broadway decided that there's a crane
right
on Broadway.
But
so I've been running down the street.
I know you had to do that.
Panting.
But you were really only
nice
about a minute later than normal, really. Right?
You know, there's very little room to spare. But it's nice to see you, sir.
It's good to see you as well. You're finally back after globe-trotting. Country. More than globe. Yeah.
Country trotting, is that what they would say?
I don't even think that's a
phrase.
Expression, no.
Now, President Trump is back, sir.
Yep, and he's looks temporary. That's what they're saying so far. He's picked Council of Economic Advisors Chair Stephen Miran as a temporary replacement for Adriana Kugler on the Federal Reserve Board of Governors. If confirmed by the Senate, he would serve out Kugler's term, which expires just at the end of January. Kugler is stepping down from the Fed today. And then reportedly, Judy Shelton was under consideration.
Yeah.
That's what it says on the front page of the Journal.
What do you think?
It didn't happen. I mean, under consideration for this.
No, I know, but
temporarily.
But by the way, someone's got to fill this position long term.
Right. And is it the same person that ascends to? I don't know. I don't know what I don't know what is in the president's mind, and I don't know what the machinations are for, how it worked. Is it like a trial run or something for Fed chair? I mean, and with, all the worry about independence and everything else, is that someone that's going to play ball? Is that
right.
Get tested out for that? I don't know.
Well, the other question I have is if Moran goes back, does he do this as like a pit stop and then go back to the administration? How does that work?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know.
And have we had that before?
I don't know that
either. Sort of in and out?
We know a lot more about the Fed. Like 10 years ago, could you have named all the governors and all the...
No.
No.
Well, except that many of them come on Squawk, but over the last 10 years.
That's why. I don't think everyone is like us, obviously, for knowing every single, the minutia of the Federal Reserve. It's all, is that the way it's supposed to be? They are very important in our life. Yeah. In a post on Truth Social, President Trump said, in the meantime, we'll continue to search for a permanent replacement. Miran is a past critic of the Fed, specifically its aggressive stimulus action during the COVID pandemic. He's also author of a plan to devalue the dollar as a way of managing the country's current accounts deficit.
Meantime, OpenAI announcing its latest and most advanced large-scale AI model. OpenAI saying that ChatGPT-5 is smarter, faster, and more useful, particularly in things like writing and specifically in coding and healthcare. company says its hallucination rate is lower, meaning less frequently fabricated answers. And ChatGPT-5 will be available to everyone. This includes OpenAI's non-paying users. It's the first time those users are going to have access to what's described as a reasoning model, which carries out sort of an internal chain of thought before actually responding. ChatGPT-5's announcement coming with a bit of corporate executive drama. Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella posted about the new release on X, saying it's the most capable model yet from our partners at OpenAI. Now, Elon Musk responding to that post, saying the following. He says, OpenAI is going to eat Microsoft alive. Well, we're going to speak with OpenAI's CEO, Sam Altman. It's going to happen this morning. I got to play with ChatGPT-5 for a good part of the flight back from San Francisco yesterday.
Really? And?
Pretty good. It's better. It's better than 4. I think that most people are not paying users, so the difference might actually feel even bigger in terms of what it can do. And the coding piece is the whole game, because right now Anthropic owns the coding world. That's their sort of purview, and these guys have really owned the consumer-facing world. And the question is whether this model is going to effectively, forget about eating Microsoft for lunch, whether it eats Anthropic for lunch or not.
Have you had a hallucination experience with AI?
All the time.
You do?
Yeah.
I haven't used it enough, I guess, for that. How can you tell? Just crazy stuff?
It just makes up answers. Just literally, you ask it something. And
I have seen that.
And the answer is just completely made up.
I yell back at them. I go, "You're an idiot," and they say, "I'm sorry. You feel that way. We tried it. You know, you can."
And sometimes it'll make up facts and make up quotes.
Yeah.
I'll say, where did you find this?
Told me someone the other day was dead, and they
right. I'll say, where did you find this? And it'll say, oh, I apologize. I must have gotten this wrong.
I remember I asked about the interview with President Trump. I asked about, was it I asked some specific questions, and it said President Trump did not have an interview with CNBC today. So then I said, you really need to check your facts.
And then what happened?
Then it came back and it checked its facts and
came
right back, yes.
Yeah, I've had that.
It's weird.
Yeah. This, I think, should be better than that. But what is cool about this, and actually all the reasoning models, though this now does it so fast, is you actually sometimes can see the reasoning. Where it'll say, the user has asked me, it'll rewrite what the user says. The user's really trying to get at this, and I need to figure out this. And then it'll do that, and it'll say, and the next permutation is this. And so you actually, it's crazy to see the computer thinking through the sort of various ways it's supposed to get to the answer. In GPT-5, it actually goes so fast that you can't really even see that part. And one of the things that Sam is now saying is, sometimes you think the answer can't possibly be right because it's so fast. That actually having watched the computer think was actually helpful to the user experience, because you're like, oh, okay.
They all don't have the little progress on their thoughts. Do they all do that? Because sometimes now I'm doing this, now I'm doing that.
Not all of them do that.
Not all of them do that.
By the way, I think that's a great sort of UI. Well, because it makes it feel very human. Even when they decided early on, and ChatGPT was the first to do it, to even just have the words right out in front of you. That's, by the way, all that is an animation. I don't know if people appreciate what's happening. When I say it's just animating the text.
Right.
It could also just spit the whole thing out at one shot, and
seeing that,
it just feels different.
What sort of concerned me was it says that what entity is in the catbird seat for AI? Reddit. I mean, if that's the place, that cesspool of chat rooms is where you're getting information, I hope it gets a little bit better than that. I guess I shouldn't be poking the Reddit.
The Reddit bear.
Nut jobs, yeah. Now to the pressure, they have no life, number one. Now to the pressure on Intel CEO Lip-Bu Tan. The Wall Street Journal says that Tan had experienced some tension with members of Intel's board even before President Trump said yesterday that Tan should resign, and called him highly conflicted. Tan was named CEO of Intel in March, and the Journal says since then he has clashed with some Intel directors on key questions like whether the chip company should remain a manufacturer. Shares of Intel ended yesterday down 3% after Trump's criticism earlier this week. Republican Senator Tom Cotton sent a letter to Intel's chair raising questions about Tan's ties to several Chinese companies. He referenced a past criminal case involving Cadence Design Systems, which Tan previously led. In a statement yesterday, Intel said that the company, TAN, and Intel's board are deeply committed to advancing U.S. national and economic security interests and are making significant investments aligned with the president's America First agenda. Fascinating, Andrew. I assigned the Albert Brooks book to you once, but you got this one talks everything about what we were talking about yesterday, and it's like we're both right. This is clearly industrial policy, which nobody likes, brought on by the original industrial policy. Intel got in bed with the federal government, arguing for subsidies. They couldn't even have built the manufacturing stuff without subsidies. It's not going well. It was supposed to be ready in 2025. It's not going to be until 2030. They had to lay off people, so it didn't create jobs. The CHIPS
I think that
this lost 21,000.
This has been a failed effort. But if that's true, and by the way,
but now they're in bed with the government, so Trump feels like you already owe us. You're already beholding to us for all these subsidies. So I can tell you what to do. It should have never gotten to that point in the first place.
100%.
Okay, so it's industrial policy across the board.
Either party, doesn't matter. And by the way, the Democrats were just as bad on the industrial policy piece.
I'm saying they started were much worse, not just as bad.
Well,
that's what I said.
Well, but what I was going to say is, so go back in the debates that you and I used to have about industrial policy under Barack Obama, for example, or Biden, or whatever, including, by the way, I don't know if you describe
FDR
it as
that we used to argue about.
I don't know if you describe it as industrial policy, but I would say Biden's decision to this day not to invite Elon Musk in the tent on EVs.
That's still,
I don't even know if I put that in the industrial policy, but sort of.
No, it is.
Anyway, all of those kinds of things were complete mistakes. All I'm suggesting is, if that is true, that we're deciding that it's a mistake, and you decided it was a mistake a long time ago, then the question is, forget about Intel. Intel is an outlier at this point. There's so much of what we're doing right now is a grand industrial policy, and the question is, we're now doing industrial policy at scale. And if you didn't think we could do it properly, in the micro, how can we really make it in the macro?
Do you remember in the CHIPS Act, you had to subsidize child care, you had to pay union wages.
I agree.
So you did all these progressive. So now Trump, who's going to stop him from saying no DEI, no ESG? You can't have hiring. So it's going to be from the other side. But when you start it, you stick your toe in the water. You can't pull it back out.
Well, can you? Can you just end it?
Intel might end it itself.
Well, no. When I say end it, but
it is a shadow of its former self.
Right, but I'm saying that this is corporate industrial policy. But you'd say tariffs are a form of industrial policy, huge industrial policy, right? That's like a massive industrial policy,
right? Aimed at bringing back industry here.
Right.
Which is the same thing that this was aimed at in a totally different way.
In a different way. And by the way, one may work better than the other.
Well, I think that goes without saying.
We'll see.
Cheese will be next.
Coming up on Squawk Pod, our full interview with OpenAI CEO Sam Altman. What the ChatGPT creator imagines for the future.
One of the things I've always wanted ChatGPT to do is when I wake up every morning, every email that came in overnight, I'd like a drafted response. And then I can choose whether to send it or not or edit it. But we're only maybe 6 months away from being able to do that really well.
And if he looks really far to the future.
If I let myself dream forward to someday far in the future where, I'm like retiring to an AI CEO for OpenAI, and I'm like writing that final prompt of like, here's my advice to you, I would still feel like a lot of agency in when I think.
Don't go anywhere. Sam Altman is up next. Welcome back to Squawk Pod.
You're watching Squawk Box right here on CNBC on this Friday morning. I'm Andrew Ross Sorkin along with Joe Kernen. Becky is off. Got a lot going on, though, this Friday. It's going to be Monday soon. Soon enough. It's basically Monday. Meantime, OpenAI announcing its latest and most advanced large-scale AI model. The company is saying GPT-5 is smarter, faster, more useful. I used it. It seems to be all of those things, particularly in things like writing, coding, and particularly healthcare. We're going to talk about all of that this morning with, we've got the CEO, Sam Altman, first here on CNBC. So many questions for Mr. Altman this morning.
So have you ever created a software application?
Oh, using ChatGPT?
Yes.
I've tried. I tried to actually create
What would a normal person be doing that to do? I'm working on buying something online. That's possible, right? You can see something and then it'll deliver it to your house? Is that? I have not thought I was going to, no, I'm kidding, I've done that. But I haven't considered writing a software application for myself. Why would I do that? What would I want to do? Can you help me?
Let's say there was a program that you wanted to build for yourself.
Okay, I don't really have that desire right now. I'd like to be better with from 90 yards in.
But what happens if there was an app called the Kernen app that looked at the news every morning?
Yes.
And
sifted through all the mainstream media bias.
And then tagged each one with a comment from the Kernen AI, which would then explain what's wrong with this.
Okay, I want to do that. Have you done this?
No, I'm making this app up as we speak.
Why
I think
haven't you done it?
We could sell this app.
It's called Vibe.
Vibe coding.
Vibe coding.
We could vibe code it together.
All right, we got to talk to this.
How much do you want to sell the app for on the App Store?
I could sell it?
Yes. I think there should be a subscription model here.
Okay,
I think this is a whole thing.
I'm in the 20th century, I think. Is it it's the 21st, right? And then it says interacting with the new technology feels like talking to a PhD. Is that a selling point? Is that a good thing?
You get to ask Sam Altman that very question.
All right, you got to say something. I'm not necessarily sure that's where you're going to get the good answers. Yeah, where you're going to get the good answers. No. Today marks up.
Where do you think we're going to get the good answers from?
You got to look into your heart and your soul for those.
Okay. OpenAI launching its latest new model, GPT-5, offering faster performance, fewer hallucinations, improved coding capabilities, and customizable personalities. I've been playing with it for the last 24 hours. Joining us right now is the man who co-founded the company, CEO Sam Altman. Sam, it's great to see you, sir.
Good to see you, too. Thanks for having me.
We've been trying to build, by the way, an app all morning. I'm in GitHub right now trying to build Joe Kernen an app unsuccessfully.
How's it going?
I think you guys have done the right thing so far. I mean, I think that the code looks good. The problem is I can't get it to actually effectively play for me, if you will. I got to do it in GitHub. I was actually trying to get OpenAI to actually build me a way to play it effectively in the browser, but I'm not there yet. So I still got
we'll help you
work
with that.
to do.
I can do that.
But help us understand the distinction between where you think ChatGPT-5 is today versus where we were just even 48 hours ago.
Yeah, so you said a bunch of things. The model's smarter, it's faster, it's more intuitive, it's more useful in a bunch of ways. One of the biggest things, though, is it's an integrated single experience. We have built a system that can answer easy questions quickly. It can think for a long time and answer hard questions. And it's there's just one thing called GPT-5 now instead of the long list of models we used to have. It's much better for businesses and enterprises. The coding in particular is something that people have been really waiting for a great model for. So we're seeing super strong enterprise adoption of this. And yeah.
Well, so let me ask you, some people have called it an Anthropic killer because one of the things that Anthropic, at least historically, has done well is the coding piece of this. How much of ChatGPT-5 was focused on the coding side of things?
We did really want to improve on coding. That was an area that we heard consistently from consumers, from users, businesses, enterprise, everything, that we just weren't good enough. So we did put in a lot of effort there, but it improved at lots of things.
The other piece of it is healthcare. Lots of people ask it questions about their own healthcare, including myself. What's the difference between before and after? And I'm curious how much stuff do you put into the system? Because sometimes I think to myself, I'll upload my reports from doctors and blood and this and that, and then I think, I don't know if I should be doing that. What do you think? So
healthcare is maybe the area where there's the strongest improvement of any category. We have seen healthcare become a huge issue. People use this, as you said, people are putting in all their reports, everything they can, and it's become really important to people as a sort of a way to get help with their entire healthcare journey. And I think people feel a very, very, very big difference there. Healthcare is a huge fraction of the usage of ChatGPT. It's one of the largest categories. So I put everything in. I know a lot of other people do too. I think getting people better information on their healthcare and sort of the ability to make better decisions, that seems really important. And I'm like thrilled that we were able to make this better,
Right.
and definitely a huge user of it personally.
You know, one of the reasons I asked the question is, and I think you made a mention of it maybe on a podcast recently, was just this idea that ultimately the information that we're inputting into systems like ChatGPT, and by the way, into search, if you were to do this on Google, are all quote unquote discoverable at some point. If somebody were to either sue you or something, they could come to a company like yours and say, give me everything. And we're now putting so much more into these systems because we're asking oftentimes relatively intimate questions or providing pretty intimate data.
Yeah. Look, I personally believe that society is likely to, and I think should, come to the conclusion at some point that we need some concept like we have, medical privilege or legal privilege. And if you are asking for this kind of advice, even though it's like not a human doctor, but like an AI medical advisor, a lot of those same principles should apply. And that just the fact that you've asked ChatGPT to analyze your medical records does not mean they should then be discoverable by a court, but they should be protected by the same standards. And I think as AI becomes more and more a part of people's lives and the way we get this kind of information, I hope that society will decide to extend similar legal protections.
Right. What do you think about safety? And I know that there's a lot of sort of different safety parameters built into this, certain types of questions that you'll answer, but you won't answer fully. Explain what that means.
So, there's this question of like, if you ask ChatGPT to help you build a bomb, should it do that? And there's educational value in that. There's other ways to learn that. You could be trying to learn it for a good reason. But if you're actually like, I'm going to go try to really damage someone, obviously we don't want ChatGPT to enable you to do, cause like grievous harm in the world in a way that you couldn't without it. But a new thing that GPT-5 does is try to be smarter and help you with parts of a question that might be okay, and then not help you with parts that could be used for significant harm. This is an evolving area. Like the calls here are difficult. There's like a lot of principles sound easy in theory, and then there's like a lot of edge cases. But as AI becomes very capable, society is really going to have to wrestle with these questions of, we want to bring the tremendous value and enable people to do things they never could before. And then the amount of power and capability that brings people, we don't want to enable really serious misuse.
Hey, Sam, can you share any key architectural changes or training innovations that distinguish GPT-5 from GPT-4 and how they impact its reasoning or grounding capabilities?
And by the way, he got that question, Sam, from ChatGPT.
Is that okay? Can it look at it? Can it look at itself? That's supposedly the brain can't look at itself. I did get that. It's a really good question, though, I thought.
I'm watching him, by the way, Sam, literally looking at the...
I was. I asked.
He literally asked GPT for the question
good question
to ask you.
for you. Yeah.
Well, it's an interesting and good question. So,
Thank you. Thank you.
Many improvements went into training GPT-5, but one that goes in the direction you touched on is we really started using synthetic data. So the previous generation of model is teaching the next generation of model. And as these models get smarter, the data that they can create can be, really quite interesting and helpful. And we saw that with this model. We expect to see that more with every future model.
This is this gets to the AGI question, which is, at what point do you think where it becomes where the model starts to teach itself?
That's definitely happening now to some degree. Like definitely part of the reason GPT-5 is better than previous models is those previous models helping to teach this new one.
Wow.
And so where do you think we are on this AGI path then?
What's your personal definition of AGI? And then I'll answer.
Oh, that's a good question. Well, what is your personal definition of AGI?
I have many, which is why I think it's not a super useful term. I think one definition that people like is, when it's doing like a significant amount of the work in the world, although that keeps changing because people do new jobs. Another that some people use is when it can do like really good AI research on its own. I think the point of all of this is it doesn't really matter, and it's just this continuing exponential of model capability that we'll rely on for more and more things. Maybe another one that people like is when it discovers like an important new mathematical theorem or an important new piece of science. I would expect that we're maybe like 2-ish years away from something like that.
Let me ask you a different question, just from a very practical perspective in terms of productivity and maybe even the way you use it personally. How far are we away from it being able to be truly plugged in to just about every app, whether it's your email or your calendar or as an agent buying stuff for you and really fully integrated? Obviously, the operator can do certain things, but it's not there yet. I think we would agree. I mean, when do you think that it sort of gets like supercharged?
So we announced yesterday that next week we're going to integrate with email and calendar, and it'll be able to look at your calendar and do stuff for you and read your emails. One of the things I've always wanted ChatGPT to do is when I wake up every morning, every email that came in overnight, I'd like a drafted response, and then I can choose whether to send it or not or edit it. But that would be I think that would just be like a great efficiency gain for me. And I think we're only maybe 6 months away from being able to do that really well.
In terms of the growth, this company is obviously just on a remarkable, just seeing the numbers from 500 million to 700 million active users. Do you think that the growth is going to continue at that pace? Does it get faster? Does it get slower? And in terms of paid customers, how do you see that shifting?
It's only been 20 hours or whatever since we launched GPT-5, but we are seeing crazy numbers from the level of GPT-5 adoption. It looks like we're going to have a significant acceleration in growth on the business side. The consumer side will keep growing very strong. Like at this point, we have I think we got to keep working hard to earn the right to keep this, but a pretty good lead on the consumer side. On the business side, I think you will see very strong growth from here. We prioritized the consumer side first because we think that is like a very valuable thing to get. But now we'll try to really grow at the same rate on the enterprise side.
Sam, can you tell me, and do you even know what to expect? Let's say 5 years from now. Do you know what? Would you even venture a guess at because I think it starts. It's kind of a singularity type thought where we don't even know when machines know so much more than we know. We don't even know what to expect. Do you feel like you have a good idea 5 years from now, 10 years from now, what AI is going to be?
No one knows, of course. It's what I would expect, though, and I say this with a lot of humility, be totally wrong, is that 5 or 10 years from now, AI is vastly smarter than people, and the rate of technological change in the world is astonishing. And yet, the day-to-day way we live our lives and the way that society works changes surprisingly little. I think in some sense you could see this already. Like if you could go back 5 years and, an Oracle would tell you, hey, there's going to be like PhD level intelligence available via like a chatbot. And it can't do long, complicated tasks. But if you have like a question that would take, some number of minutes or tens of minutes to answer, it can just tell you, and it can like write a whole piece of software for you. You would probably say that's impossible. But if it does happen, the world will change like unrecognizably. And it did happen, and the world hasn't changed that much, or society hasn't changed that much, even though there's an incredible technological change. So my guess on a 5 to 10 year time frame is crazy scientific change, crazy technology gain, and society changes, of course, but not the impossible amount it sounds like it should.
But do you think, there's a philosophical one, and then I want to go back to the business, but the agency that we're all going to have over our own lives, and the reason I mention this is this idea that I find myself taking advice from ChatGPT. Oftentimes, right? I'll ask it a question, it'll give me an answer, and I could see a time in life where not that I become the robot, but it starts to prompt me. And then the question is whether I accept the prompt, and maybe that's the question about agency, in terms of what I do, right? If in fact all of our emails are pre-written for us, yes, hopefully we'll have the agency to decide whether to send it or not, or change it or what have you. But over time, whether that sort of changes our own psychology about our own agency.
Do you perceive any less agency now, even though ChatGPT is giving you advice?
I don't. I also hope that I'm a mature person who's figured some stuff out. I just wonder if I was younger, maybe I would be more listening to certain answers over other. I don't know. I actually don't know the answer.
One more question about that. If it got to the point where you were confident that ChatGPT was giving you the right advice every time, like better than and even if you didn't quite understand, you were just like, you came to believe that the advice it was giving you was better than any idea you'd think of on your own, but you still chose whether to follow it or not.
Right.
Would that feel like less agency?
I don't know. I mean, I was saying earlier, there are times where, by the way, I look at the answer, and I know the answer is not right, and I'll say, no, that's not what I'm looking for. Or, no, I don't think you're right. Can you check that again? So clearly I have agency. Today, yeah. I just wonder whether it changes the human condition. I mean, this is, I think, as I said, it's like a big philosophical question. We probably won't.
My sense is it subjectively won't feel like not having agency, even if in some sense you know that the ChatGPT's advice is what you're supposed to do, even if you don't understand it at the time. I do worry about this general case of people that just make their decisions based off of what the advice ChatGPT gives them. Like, it does feel to me like something important gets lost in that process, even if the advice is always really good. And today it's not really good, just like talking forward to the future. But, like, we'll still be asking ChatGPT what to do. We'll still be telling it what our goals are and what we'd like to optimize for. And I think that will feel like all the agency. Like, if I let myself dream forward to someday far in the future where, I'm like retiring to an AI CEO for OpenAI, and I'm like writing that final prompt of like, here's my advice to you, I would still feel like a lot of agency in the moment, I think.
Okay, got to go back to the business. Lots of questions about just the race for talent right now. These huge numbers we hear, Mark Zuckerberg trying to, pay people $1 billion to attract them from your place and others. What does that race look like at the moment? How many people, by the way, are there out there right this moment that you think are in this sort of like super league that are almost, indispensable?
Definitely, this is the most intense talent market I have seen in my career. But if you think about the economic value being created by these people and how much we're all spending on compute, maybe the market stays like this. I'm not totally sure what's gonna happen, but it is like a crazy intense comp for a very small number of people right now.
But is it like 200 people? And what do they know? What do these 200 people know that nobody else does?
The hope is they know how to like discover the remaining ideas to get to super intelligence. That there are going to be a handful of algorithmic ideas and a medium-sized handful of people who can figure them out.
How many people do you think that really is?
Like, how many people are capable of doing it, or how many people will actually like make the discoveries that matter? And like,
how many people are capable? Like, when we talk about like the market size, how big is the market right this minute for these people?
I bet it's like much bigger than people think, but some companies in the space have decided that they're going to go after a few shiny names. Right. But I think there's like many thousands of people that we could find, and probably tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people in the world that are capable of doing this kind of work.
Your company is reportedly now worth up to $500 billion. Is that accurate in terms of the newest?
I think I'm not supposed to like comment on currently in-flight stuff.
Well, let me ask you this. There is a effort by Robinhood and, by the way, others to try to sell your shares in a secondary market. Sometimes people are tokenizing these special purpose vehicles and other things like that. What do you make of what's happening? And do you think or want the public to be able to access these shares like that versus, by the way, there's some people who are buying into Microsoft now and buying into SoftBank, thinking that's like a public way, backdoor into buying shares in your company?
Look, I totally get why people wish we were just a public company now, and I have very I have like negative feelings about how much growth happens in private markets and how, not every investor gets access to this phase of growth. Whenever we do go public, if we ever go public, I think there will be tremendous upside left in front of the company. But I get why people would like love for us to be public or sooner. And I'm sure people also get the reality of like, we're in still a crazy position, and it would be very hard for us to be public given just all of the realities of that. But I hate that people get pushed to like various degrees of sketchy ways to try to get exposure to OpenAI.
The company's still losing money, and obviously you're building Stargate among them. What is the path to profitability? When do you see the lines cross, if you will?
I mean, I think it could happen sooner than I originally thought if we wanted it to, but it seems to me like the right thing to do is to just keep investing in compute and continuing to grow.
But is that
to continue to grow our training compute budget?
Is that a couple of years from now then, you think? Or, I mean, you're saying if you stopped investing?
No, I think we should be willing to keep growing, to keep investing in training compute for a long time. Like, as long as we're on this very steep curve of the models getting better and better, I think the rational thing to do is to just be willing to run at a loss for quite a while and continue to do that, which is also part of why I think it's nice not to be public.
Right. And then finally, one of the paths to getting public is to make a deal with Microsoft. I think, as you're trying to, when I say make a deal, you're going to create this private vehicle effectively out of a not-for-profit. What is the state of play there?
Still trying, still like positive stuff, and we have lots of other things that are kind of higher priority at the moment, but like positive progress on it.
You knew I'd ask the question. I think you knew I'd ask the question. You probably saw Elon yesterday. He said, quote, OpenAI will eat Microsoft alive. And then Satya responding to that. What do you think when you read that?
I don't think about him that much.
What do you think of the larger idea, though, that he's effectively saying that OpenAI long-term will eat Microsoft alive?
I don't even know what that means. Do you know what that means?
I'm not sure what he means, except to say that he thinks in the grand scheme of the partnership that ultimately you'll have more power, more influence, and more leverage over them than they'll have over you.
I thought he was I thought he was just like tweeting all day about how much like OpenAI sucks and our model is bad and, not going to be a good company and all of that. So I don't know how you square those two things.
Fair enough. I am told that you have to go, sir. I wish you didn't and that you could stay because I could talk to you, as you know,
help making
for a
my
very
app.
long time. Oh, and I do need help with the app, but we can
help with my
I'm
app.
happy to help you.
Maybe I'll send you a note later and I'll share the app with you. But Sam, we appreciate you joining us this morning very, very much. And I know it's early for you on the West Coast.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much.
That's great. What do we charge?
For the app?
Yeah. Do we ask
Ask ChatGPT what the market would bear for your app.
And we want to get as many as we can, but we want to charge as much as we can. But we don't want to make it, crowd out people that, we don't want just really wealthy people getting it, right?
What do you think, $4.99 a month?
$499?
No, $4.99.
See,
well, actually, they just got rid of pennies, so $5. We're going to round up. $5.
Great. Add to our margins.
And that is the podcast for today and for the week. It's Friday.
What a week.
My app.
I'm going to work on it. I got Altman. Sam and I are we're going to be building it. We're in GitHub trying to build the thing as we speak.
I know.
Squawk Box is hosted by Joe Kernen, Becky Quick, and Andrew Ross Sorkin. Tune in weekday mornings on CNBC at 6 Eastern. To get the smartest takes and analysis and big interviews like today's with Sam Altman, to get all of that from our TV show right into your ears, please follow Squawk Pod wherever you like to get your podcasts. We'll meet you right back here on Monday. Have a great weekend.
We are clear. Thanks, guys.